Hello, my name is Jake Hitz. Back in 2014, I was over in Liberia, and God woke me up in about 3:30 in the morning with this machine in a dream. I seen it bending steel before it was even built. And so I give God all the credit for the design and the engineering on it. All he had me do is to build it. So with no other pause, I will show you what this does. I put my name on this and call it the Hitz Z Bender. We use it for bending the Z braces, for making purlins and trusses and columns with a triangulated design, which is very strong when welded to the main cords. We will discuss that later in the construction part. But this machine is just for bending the zigzags. We just call the Z's, and it bends very well. We use normally 3/8 stock as the smallest. We go 7/16, ½ inch, and 5/8. We also can bend metric. It does not matter. The machine handles up to 5/8 diameter rod equally well, but it takes a little bit extra force, but it does bend beautifully. We've been bending them in third world countries, from Ivory Coast to Vanuatu to Bolivia to Nicaragua. But anyway, we're going to set this machine up. Right now I have it set for doing the 12-inch bends, which this one here is. First of all, we're going to set this machine up so we will have some frames, and that can be done just by cutting some wood and driving it in the ground and putting some cross members on, and put something on just so it will be on a level field to the bender, so it will feed easily. And then also we build a trough, I'll call it, so we can, after the rod is bent, it will go and feed out through at a level field, so it will not allow it to be, as John Corley calls it, wacky-jawed, but it keeps it maintained flat. And hello, my name is Jake Hitz. I built this machine with guidance from the Lord. And this here machine is what we're using to bend the Z's, we call them, to make the bar joists and trusses and columns used in construction on several continents, mainly in Africa, New Guinea, and Bolivia. But anyway, this here is some simple instructions so you can use this machine to its fullest extent, and maybe even more. It will be up to you. So I'll introduce you to the Hitz Z Bender. I just lent my name to this, but to God be the glory. Anyhow, on setting up this machine, I will show you how to adjust it for different size of rods. This will bend anything from like 1/4 inch, which I recommend not doing. We use 3/8, 7/16, ½ inch, all the way to 5/8 of an inch. It will bend equally well. And whatever you start with in length, it will shrink by 26%. So anyway, here we go. This machine, you set it up by putting your rod in. Drop it in, and we have stops already set for doing the 12-inch Z's. I already bent a short section of 12-inch. Anyway, to set this machine up, you want to make some kind of a stand that the rod will lay horizontal coming into the bender, and then you will set it by adjusting the main nose die just so it clears the rod. and there's 2 of them. Anyhow, this will bend a full Z with minimal effort. Anyhow, to adjust it, you loosen this jam nut and just crank it in. You don't need to make it tight, just so it holds the rod, not snug, just holds it in place. And do this one likewise. And to adjust it from 3/8 to 1/2 inch, you just back this off, and then you take and pull this pin out. Now we're at 3/8. Now to go to 1/2 inch, you do 2 full turns of this and put the pin back in, and you are set for 1/2 inch rod. And if you want to do 5/8, then you do 2 more full turns. Here I'm setting up the bender to bend this here 3/8 round rod. They're 20-foot sticks. Over in Africa we get 40-foot long sticks. Anyhow, I have it basically on the same plane lined up on them 2 stands coming in. And I'm going to put the end right here at this first stop. That's where we set it up first. This is going to be a 12-inch Z. And I also have this set up for this here trough. And this will be for the Z to travel out through after it's bent. And well, here we go. We're going to start to bend. And then I'm going to bend this one, and you will see how it goes. All right. It's there against the stop. Grab a hold of the handle, hold this down. First bend. Release, lift out, take your hip, move the handle back, drop it in place again, up against the stop, this on top of this rest. And once you put it on that rest, it's level, and that way you can maintain straightness of this whole part when you're doing the bending of the Z's. It takes just a little bit of effort to bend it. You get it down in there, down in these here dies, and get that set there. And the other thing is, when you're bending this, when you do your initial bend, check it with the square. You want to maintain this here to be fairly close. And I have it adjusted, it's right on the money. And that way these are going to be straight, they're going to be flat. And when you go down through, they're really going to be nice to work with the next guy that has to work with these, which will be in the fixture, which I'm going to be building tomorrow morning. Anyhow, we're going to just finish bending this. And if these pieces aren't square, I'm going to show you how to adjust this machine to get it square. If the one end needs to be bent a little harder, we can do that by adjusting this take-up to make the chain tensor over on this side, which will bring this die this way. And the other way is to adjust the nose die in just a little bit. You don't want to make it tight, just bring it in against. But it can be adjusted out, and then adjust your stops, which are right here on the quadrant. This here is the quadrant, this here ring with all these holes. And that's so you can adjust to do different bends other than what we're doing here with the Z's. And after I bend this one, I'm going to change the arm, and there it is. Just a matter of a few minutes. That is bent. They're straight. They're flat. They're ready to weld. So I'm going to change this arm out. I will instruct on how to do that very shortly. Okay. Right now I'm going to change this from a 12-inch arm to an 8-inch arm. First you've got to break the jam nuts loose on the bottom, which I'm using an impact. They come off, go nice. And then I'm going to use the impact to run the spindle. That's these here, what the rod pivots over. They're hardened rod. And I'm going to run them out. Now they go out clockwise. Oops, wrong way. And I'm using impacts to get it done fast. Okay, and there's a slot in the top. You can use a screwdriver or you can use a vice grip. The vice grip works real handy. You don't need to bite in hard. Just spin it and bring it up. And then pull it right out. And that part of the arm is free. Okay, here we go. Now I'm disconnecting the chain because we have to make the chain shorter for the 8-inch arm. I'm going to take this part off. I have to take the tail section off, and I have to take this long arm out. I have to take the nose dies off, and we take the handle off because we're going to put that on the shorter arm. And now you take that off. And we pull that pin out. Take that die off and this die off. And them are the nose dies, and we will be putting them on the short arm. Okay. I'll take the long arm off and put the short arm in. But I have to get the spacers for in between here. Okay. Now I have the spacers in between. Them are needed so you don't bend the bender itself. And then you crank these down in. And the bottom of this here pin is milled for 7/16. You can put a 7/16 socket right on it. You can see it right there, 7/16, perfect. Now we put that in there, drop that pin down in. And get that down in. You can use a soft hammer to get it started. Takes a little bit to get this timed up again. I'm going to use the impact to run these down. And then we're ready to put the jam nuts back on. Takes a 15/16 socket, which is provided with the kit. Now I'm going to make the chain shorter and